situation where it is there are so many different opinions, and I know that you guys, Serta, and everybody else is going to educate, is going to be pumping education to all the constituents. And one thing you failed to say in your introduction was that you're also a resident of Clay Township, so you're invested in this as well.
That's right. It's coming out of my pocket too if we do.
I don't have any problem. I don't think we need to give an opinion, what our personal opinion is on this in this time, and as we continue to get educated. But I don't think.
I think we need more information.
And marketing is one thing that they're really going to hit hard on, because there's been very little of that.
Right.
So you're going to start hearing more about it. I mean, I think Danielle from Washington Township and I at the meeting yesterday said, you know, look, there's not very many people that knows about this. So if you're looking at doing it this year, you really have to flood the market.
Oh, right.
You know, to explain to people.
You go ahead.
Well,
Excuse me.
this may be apples and oranges, but we have transportation systems within the community with Prime Life and Janus and other groups that are helping members get to their facility to work or to doctors or wherever. Is there any tie-in at all that will be with the public transportation?
I would hope, currently with HCT, did I get that right? HTC. Just Hamilton County Transit. Currently, the county is footing the bill on that. Quite honestly, it's over $300,000, and I would hope that at least part of the sums collected might offset part of those costs. So there would be a tie-in, but that would be your decision, okay? It's possible that they would be contracted to do the local service. They have offered before. Normally what happens is you put it out to qualified operators and they put in their best bid. And I would hope that the hospital, well, Riverview's doing its own bus service. You're aware of that?
No.
Riverview has had problems getting patients to procedures. So Riverview on their own has contracted with you all. You're up to 2 buses now?
Right.
Up to 2 buses. And it's been very successful with respect to patient outcomes, which has been significant, and helps, you know, with missed appointments. I mean, they have been so pleased. They went from 1 bus to 2. So I'd hope those initiatives continue. The other thing we're looking at the CERTA level is to supplement maybe this local tax with economic districts, where, say, you've got a corridor in the county in a specific area, and that corridor wants more intensive service. It's possible under current law for them to overlay a tax to say this is for that purpose. And we may look at transit-oriented development with residential, et cetera, that doesn't make sense to run a line with this particular revenue, but maybe they would overlay that so they could connect to the system. There's a lot of possibilities, and we need to be creative, and I'm not thinking that long-term maybe fixed routes, which you think of with Indigo, may be the sole solution township-wide, primarily because not everybody's going to want that same service or can't afford that same service, but maybe some type of Uber solution or technical solution. I mean, there's all kinds of things coming up on the horizon, and that's where CERT has made a commitment. We're going to be forward-thinking to come up with the best solution to connect people, jobs, groceries, and whatever in the most economical manner. So we don't want to get caught with a bunch of baggage that everybody's always done it this way, because our guess is what the wants and needs coming forward, we're going to have to be more nimble, more creative, and figure out how we do more and better service with fewer resources and not duplicate services. That would be the worst thing we could do, or provide services that aren't being utilized.
Mm-hmm.
Will you, who's coming next month? Cindy's coming back next
Cindy will be back May, and I think some of the committee will be here too. Probably Christine will be
Well, I was
here.
going to ask, can you?
But-
I know you missed me, I'll come
Well,
back.
I think it's good to have a person that is a community member talking to us, that we trust, we know you. It's a lot different than just having a salesperson giving a pitch.
Yeah.
So if you'd be willing to come back,
I'm willing to do whatever. I believe in it. I firmly believe we're spinning our wheels looking at single occupant vehicles with the growth we've got coming. It's not going to work, and we're not going to be happy with the end result unless we build components in that supplement that grid system. That's just my opinion as a conservative Republican, that's going to be the best for our community and the tax dollars we need.
It's been a long time in coming, too. I mean, I've been here over 20 years, and they've been talking about this. I remember going to meetings when I was first elected about transportation, so it's nice to know we're well on the way.
Right. I've been on the CERTA board since 2004. I haven't given up, and I refuse to. Any other questions? Thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time to listen.
Doug, oh,
Well, I just have one question for you, Angie, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe by next meeting or maybe in an email, you could tell us what the financial impact could be if we were to pose a referendum and raise the maximum. What would that mean in terms of potential tax revenue going forward? I don't know, and I'm just curious. Is it 300,000? Is it 2 million? I don't know. I know it's not 2 million. But I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'll look at that. I'll get with Doug. I think there's a lot of things to consider. So I would like to see kind of.
To save you time, I think the MPO has already done that.
yeah, it was like to average of $200 per person per
Oh.
year.
So
Okay.
I think what I would like to do though is kind of get a copy of the materials we're looking at, so I can have that as well and have some discussions. We can, mass transit has been huge. Transit has been huge for Indiana conversation for many years. I sit on the government council for the Indy Chamber, for the Greater Chamber, so this has been a big priority.
Potential.
So I think it'll be good for us to kind of sit down and have the discussion so I can kind of see what the plan is, see what the estimated cost is for this section, and how that kind of rolls into a comprehensive plan. Because I think it's gonna have to be comprehensive, and it's gonna have to have regional cooperation to get it to work.
Right.
So it, it doesn't make sense if someone's gonna invest in it and someone else isn't. So I think a lot of conversation has to occur between now and then. So it sounds like an easy thing to check off, but I think actuality, there's probably gonna be a lot of conversation, would be my advice, so we can get a good understanding of what is the surrounding communities, are they in, what is the whole cooperation of the county, and how do they wanna connect, so. I think Doug, I would like to sit down with you and kind of get the same information you've had and have time to look at it and maybe provide some advice to you guys.
In Washington Township, have they made a decision?
No, and they can't, they basically.
They can't do it till we do it.
Well, we do it. If we
But
don't
I
do it,
also-
they're out.
But even if we, for whatever reason, didn't like this at all,
Mm-hmm.
I also wouldn't want, I think it doesn't do due diligence to the whole county.
The township.
Well, I mean, I'm saying the whole
Well,
county.
okay.
It doesn't serve anybody if we are that cog in the gear that stops it. If we didn't at least give the voters the opportunity to speak,
I
which is
agree.
under the,
Oh.
I mean,
I agree.
That's really,
And you know, it's amazing. I've only been involved in this, what, a couple months? Oh, how overwhelming this is of the work that they have done. I mean, all these acronyms, the stuff that throws out there, I have to stop. What's that stand for? Yeah, because, probably the weakest point of it all, of what I've seen, has been the marketing. They have done so much other work. I mean, formulas and how, percentage of this and percentage of that. It's overwhelming, and I think the reason that Cindy didn't want to come tonight was we got some things we need to get together for May. And I think you'll be enlightened a lot at the May meeting. At our meeting in May, she will enlighten you a lot with a lot of things that they have put together. And answer a lot of the questions that because when you leave here, you're gonna go home and say, okay, what? But it is, and I'm just a true believer. I know what you're saying about referendums, Matt, and I understand what you're saying about California and stuff. But I think on something like this, from the township trustee, from township assistants, how it'd be nice if we had something like that we could take our people and say, okay, you need to go to Noblesville, so get on the red line, here's the thing, get on the red line and go up there and take care of your business. So I from that standpoint, I'm really for it, but I really think the people need to decide too. I mean, if they don't feel like they want it, and God, I tell you what, I went over to I-16-9 and 116th yesterday, and I didn't think I was ever gonna get through Fishers.
well, we're not,
So,
well, that's fine. We're focused on getting people
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying
Which I
is
think is needed.
it's only gonna get worse if we don't do something about it.
Well, if we don't, we're gonna have people walking up the Monon and taking bicycles to get to Noblesville to get what they have, what we should be
That's
doing
right.
here. Yeah.
So if we get further educated in May, and then if we were to vote to do the referendum in June, that gives the lawyers plenty of time to write the question.
Good.
Anything else on this subject?
It's exciting.
Yeah?
It really is.
All right, well, we look forward to hearing more about it in May. Thank you so much, Christine. Any other public comments? All right, fire contract.
The fire contract's 2016, and if you notice, we're doing it early this year.
Yep.
And so I think we've got everything together. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but code is not there, in there anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing that we added is the $80,000 for the physicals of the firefighters, which I don't know if you've seen, but there was and one of the biggest things was cancer. There's a big news flash on that about the number of firefighters dying from cancer. And I told the mayor that about a year ago, that we just have to keep these physicals. Have somebody that actually deals with police and firefighters and the issues that they run up against. I mean, it's proven itself when I was there, and I was one of the beneficiaries of that too, because we had our physicals through somebody that deals with that. So anyway, we've added $80,000 to cover the firefighters, but other than that, it's just a standard 2.95% of the fire department's budget of $23 million.
Mary brought up a point, and I agree with her. I really still don't like the language at the very end.
And
It still
last
reverts,
page.
if next year they ask for the money, the COIT money again, I like to think it's dead. Conversations have said it's dead, that they won't ask anymore, but if they ask next year, it falls back to 17 pay 16. And we're right back where we were. This last sentence, either needs to be language saying that it's going to be our portion of the percentage of the overall township or unincorporated area, period, or we need to, in my opinion, need language that does not fall back on a previous year.
Okay, explain that to me, why you don't like it.
Because, like, this,
It's too vague.
It's too vague. It's the problem we had this year. It falls back. It says, last year it said 15, pay 14, if we didn't reach an agreement. We didn't reach an agreement. Therefore, it would have fallen back, and they would have gotten,
Less, oh.
no, they would have had the argument they
Well,
got the
okay,
supplement.
okay, yeah, but that's just because we were paying the COIT. Now that we don't pay the COIT,
But it doesn't say that in here. It says we're not, but it doesn't say, they can ask for it next year. They can say, we're not gonna sign the contract, and then it falls back.
We'll be in the same situation. At least we think that.
No, I couldn't agree more, because even though that's maybe not likely to happen, it gives them that opportunity. If they decide that they will obstinately not reach a mutually acceptable contract for whatever reason, then it gives them the ability to fall back and claim the COIT or payment. So I think.
But I'm not-
Formula is what he's looking, so if you look at that, is it the very last sentence where it says?
Yes.
that
Right.
there's
utilize the
nothing-
agreement makes it.
And this year's formula, so it isn't, the one time, all that's kind of gone, so it fall back to the allocation based on the 16 pay 17 AD. So if we're paying 2.9% of the contract this year, if the contract is not met next year.
Oh, so in other words, if the AV changes, is what you're
Yeah,
saying then?
There's a lot of things that
Oh,
can
okay,
change.
okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about the COIT, I'm thinking.
Well, that supplemental COIT, it would be a reason I'm saying would be their trigger point for not signing it.
Okay.
I'm just saying that they would use that as an excuse not to sign the contract.
Yeah, I guess.
It needs to- I'm sorry,
No,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead. We're all saying the same thing, but you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you need to define it, so there are no loopholes anywhere, because the minute it goes out of our desk, it's gonna be up there and reread and reread and challenged in any way to get what they want.
And frankly, it's happened before, so if we can structure that last sentence in such a way that it clarifies what can and cannot be done, protects us, frankly, protects them, whatever. But right now, this gives them, however remote it might be, it gives them the ability to go back like they've done in the past, or try to do it with what they've done in the past. Not saying they're going to, but I'd like clarification on that. I think we all would.
So you'd
Right.
like for them to take it back and then bring it back in May? And
Or
change
Yeah.
that, or if you can come up with,
I don't know if I can do that on the spot right now.
well,
No. No, we're not asking you to do that.
We run tests when Brian's not here.
I think from reading and understanding what you're trying to get at, I mean, a
Should-
suggestion we could have a
She should
discussion.
get the mic.
Going to be fine.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
You've got to, it's gotta be recorded, please.
So, what I'm hearing, I understand your concern, so if I'm looking at that, and I'm not an attorney, so, but trying to meet your needs, it seems to me, if you just strike that last sentence, the statement before that says, if the agreement is terminated, then all of the property and the assets are distributed equally, and then it's done, it doesn't revert to anything. So I don't know what the value of adding that last sentence, so I don't know if it makes sense for us to actually list what's included, what's not, because I think that can provide loopholes. Sometimes it's hard to, think of every little loophole you might want to put in there. To me, the easiest thing
Just
would
strike
be
the
to strike
sentence.
that last sentence.
The only thing I would say about that on the behalf of the city, okay, would be if they, say we go through a half a year and they paid 6 months and we decide we're not gonna sign it or whatever, then they just paid the whole amount for that 6 months. So maybe, is that right? Should it be that way then or not?
We could go back to the 7 years of additional coat we've been paying for West Clay. So, yeah, that is right. I don't have a problem with
You
that.
know, so, I don't know.
I think that it also encourages for the contract to get signed sooner. I mean, I think that we've made a lot of effort this year. I mean, this is the earliest it's been in many years.
Exactly.
Because we're talking about services provided after January 1st of next year.
The minute you talk about a mutually accepted contract isn't reached, then you're striking thought in their mind.
That's a red flag. I like your thought. I guess what I would ask is that there be some additional dialogue between township and city to either strike that last sentence or clarify it in such a way that it protects both sides. Because in my opinion, in reading this right now, as a Clay Township board member, I'm not comfortable with that. I think it gives the city the out to go back and try to claim it more co-ed.
And by making them work with you to devise the sentence, it becomes a mutually acceptable sentence rather than we say that's what we went through last year. It was this back and forth thing and we just don't need to do that again.
And I think that they were very, in conversation with the mayor, they were very, in explaining all of our frustrations and, I flat out said, we have no reason to talk to Mr. Coonrod. He's not an elected official.
That's right.
And when he agreed to stop asking, I thought that was a really strong relationship builder. So I wouldn't want to damage the relationship we're working on building with the city at all. I just would.
We don't want any suggestions in here that we might have problems. I know there are legal loopholes, but you can have a red flag that they can see a mile away.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would move to table the action item on the 2016 fire contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none. Sorry, Doug.
No, that's fine with me. Hey, we're way ahead of the game this year, so that's fine with me. I have no problem with, with this at all. I really don't. I just didn't see it, and I'm thinking, I had trouble, and then I started reading it over and over and over, and, so
And I'm-
now's the time to get it changed. I mean,
And I'm fine if you're able to email something out, we can swing by and sign it. If you, we don't all have to be.
Just so I understand, maybe Doug, you understand this, and this is, I'm being duplicative here, but are you want to use the use the same formula
Yeah.
that's in this agreement? Okay, and so what's, the concern is then what?
The last paragraph, the last line.
Right.
The last sentence.
Last sentence,
Well, the
not
last
the.
paragraph.
That
That's it.
formula could change. Our AV could change. It does change. I mean,
Right, okay, so the concern is about the last part of that sentence, about the change of the AV.
if it goes back, we don't want to automatically fall back at 2.95.
Yeah,
Okay, all
I
right.
understand. Right now, it's 2.95%.
Okay.
Okay? Next year, it could be 2.80, or it could be 2. But this says you have to refer back to the previous year, which now goes back to 2.95.
And this protects the city. If our AV goes up, and we don't sign
It's
it
a
because
bit-
we just want to pay 2.95,
It's a benefit, but I don't expect it to be going up, though,
No.
for our portion.
I'm just saying, it could.
Yeah, it could, it could, it won't, but it could.
But that's what it is.
All right, so you understand.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Just the last line, say, Brian, it's not right. No. That's okay. That's what we do this for. No.
But it's, I mean, that's something I think we all agree, so we can swing by your office and sign it if you just
Sure.
shoot language over and print it out. I don't think it needs to be in a meet, I mean, I don't think,
Well,
We're not
You
at-
can't do that.
it has to be in a public forum. It has
We can bring it
action
back.
items have to be,
Well, we can bring it
we'll
back.
bring it
It's not
back
a
next
problem.
month. We
Should
can
be
clear this
on
up. We're
the-
still
on the
4 months
agenda.
ahead.
Yeah, we can bring it back in May and get to the city in June, and then the June, yeah, no, that's not a problem.
how we did it in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
we're
after
still
January 1, you're
ahead
the
of
following
game.
Yeah, we
January.
are. We're very much.
Okay, what's next? I've lost my, there it is.
Mr. John.
Mr. Barbie. It's looking good out there.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. I feel like the last time I was here was maybe before the holidays, around.
It's cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
Well, hell, that could have been last week.
Yeah. 43, I think we were encroaching on the move-in, which did happen there about around Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I will tell you, it was probably a touch premature. There were some hiccups with some work that we would have liked to have gotten through punch list a little bit further and had some quality issues resolved faster, but when those were brought to our attention, we had a plan and got those remedied in a couple-week fashion, and everything has been taken care of at this point. My understanding, the firefighters are very happy. There's, always a lot of different opinions about how things are done or what's done, so Doug and I work through those matters on a case-by-case basis. I think the last bit of work that's happening right now wasn't part of the original work, and it was out in the bays. They wanted to paint the ceiling structure again and get a fresh coat of paint on it before the open house this Saturday. So that work's been taking place here the last couple of days, and will be done, and you might still be smelling the fresh paint on Saturday in the garage. But 43, for all practical purposes, is done. We're in the warranty phases. 44, if you've driven by, it's large and impressive.
It's gorgeous.
It's right up on the street.
Absolutely
Angie mentioned earlier, it blends into the neighborhood very well. I think, the fire chief there, or fire captain, and Axis responding to their desires and needs really just made that fit the neighborhood well. Progress is good. Last winter, we were worried about a steel delay we had and then how that was going to affect work through the winter. All that has evolved and come together. We are on track for a July occupancy there, and that fits with the fire department's plans and, their temporary housing. The maintenance training facility started late last fall. Got the foundations in before winter. That building is up and it's enclosed. Drywall is hung. They're finishing drywall in there today. Concrete pavements being poured, and it's coming along really well. It potentially could finish, a couple weeks ahead of 44. Just it's a simpler project, but all practical purposes, they're going to kind of converge and finish together. We don't have the exact same contractors at both, but we do have a handful of the same. Part of the way that bidding structure worked, the contractors that were on 44 were aggressive for that work from a management and just locality standpoint. But we did recently get to fund the major alternate at the training facility also. which was, we had the maintenance bay was always getting done, but then it was, the offices and the training rooms and kind of some of those ancillary support spaces. All that's happening completely as designed at this point and within the schedule of completing here in July. With that said, the contingencies from the beginning through the end are still healthy. There have been unforeseens. There have been things we've been able to find and say we don't need that and have some cost savings, so there's been some ebb and flow with it. But we're out of all the scary stuff. We're not in the ground anymore, and all the unknowns out at the training facility with the soils there. Got through all that really pretty well. So feel real good. It's just, it's execute and process at this point. But I don't have anything more other than we're on target, we're on budget, and happy to see the open house and grand openings for those next two facilities. Any questions?
It's been wonderful watching it happen. The chiefs have taken me out several times, and I've been able to go through 43 before it was there, and then there were some changes that the firemen wanted, and we went back and saw them, and
Yep.
It's just been really good for the community to see this, and having the firefighters live in neighborhoods. I had a conversation yesterday with someone who was talking about, well, they had this, and now they're back in the station. They don't have that anymore. They had the access to them, and I think that made a big difference.
Right.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I was supposed to give you kudos about that, the fitness center at 43s. They really like that.
The add-on.
It was
Yeah.
unplanned good event, I guess we'll put it, because it was originally supposed to go off to the east end, and a $30,000 gas relocation made it make sense to go off the backside, but it really came out well. Obviously, that was the main initiative of that whole place, so I'm happy to hear that they're happy with it.
The question I have, I think, is for you, Angie. If we don't burn through our contingencies, all of it, which I'm sure there's not going to be a whole lot left.
Well, if you want us to give the guys ideas on how to spend it, they'll come
No.
up with
No,
it.
no.
What do we have to do with that money? Do we reduce bond? I mean, that's all set. I guess I'm just curious what happens to that money.
Yeah, so the
Can we
funds-
use it to purchase something nice for the guys, or?
Yeah, you're limited to a couple options. So you can, if you have excess proceeds, you have money left over, you're limited to the restrictions and the purpose as what you adopted in your bond resolution. So depending on how that language was, my guess it's broad enough, there's probably additional changes or additional equipment that you could put into the fire station. You wouldn't be able to use it for anything that wasn't a purpose as outlined in the bond resolution. The other item you could do is you actually get to set that money aside in your debt service fund, and you'd have to apply it to your payment. So the issue with that is then you would have a fluctuation in tax rate for your taxpayers one year, because you would pay your payment with cash, and the next year then they would have a rate again. So you're really restricted to either paying it towards your debt or a purpose in the bond resolution. So what we'd want to do is probably have Doug or Brian just pull that bond resolution, look to see how it was written, and see what leeway you have to make improvements or provide equipment or whatever you decide to do with it.
So it might be worth going through that original dream wish list and
Oh, yeah.
seeing what
Sure.
we might be able to surprise them with.
That's a good idea.
What are we talking about?
My guess is,
But
that'd be my guess, but I don't know that.
So those are really just two options, payments for debt or a purpose that's already in the bond resolution.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Financial questions from the board?
I don't have it.
No, I have none.
Any board comments?
I would like to thank everyone for coming today. Thank you from Fifth Third. And certainly, all the others that have left, my goodness.